What if the ground beneath you still holds the stories from slavery? Stories buried for generations waiting to be uncovered. Some of them are still here. You hear that? That's the echoes of freedom. What's up, historians? We're standing here in Cluster Springs, Virginia, on the site of an old slave plantation. They tell me this site is about 3,000 acres back in the day. Of course, it's dwindled over time. We've got lots of farmland out here with Garrett and Braden. They're out here searching the ground, see what we can find. We've been looking for the slave relics, the grave sites, bones, things of that nature. Trying to work up some historical documents to kind of document this place, document what we found. Behind me, you see that white house. That's an original house here. During the Civil War, it was used as a field hospital. It was built in the 1830s. This wooden building here, kind of barn-looking building behind me there, that is would have been the kitchen where the slaves cooked. There's a very nice chimney in there. Used to be able, it's big enough you could walk inside of the fireplace. So there's a massive room, massive kitchen area that the slaves would use to cook for the homeowners here in the 1860s. But this is a beautiful property. Braden over here, he's getting ready to pull something up out of the ground, so we'll check in on that here in just a moment. But this is a powerful piece of land that holds and complicated piece of land that holds a powerful piece of American history. Today is different than what it looked like then in the 1860s. I mean, it looks probably fairly close, other than the modern advancements around it. But as far as looks at it, it looks very similar to what it would look like back in the 1860s. Instead of this history remaining hidden, we're out here with the team, as I mentioned, of historians, archaeologists, metal detectors, and volunteers from across the eastern United States, all up and down. I've seen license plates from all over the place out here, checking this place out to uncover history here together today. We've got metal detectors, GPR, ground penetrating radar, and careful archaeological work that we're searching this ground to locate buildings, artifacts, and clues that can help us tell the story of the people who lived and labored here. Because the most important stories from plantations are often the ones that were never written down. And that's what we're at today. You can see them over here, they're digging. There's another crew off camera over there. They're out there digging. We've got some crews up front searching around and digging. So we've got there's a lot of stuff happening here, and we're super excited to be here today talking about Echoes of Freedom. We're listening to the Echoes of Freedom step by step today as we are here on this side. Oh, we got something. We'll come right back. Let's go see what we got over here. What we got, boys? What we got here, Braden?
Broken axe head.
Broken axe head. Right here. So that would have probably been used by slaves here working the grounds. What you think?
Yeah. See its shape. Actually see the edge.
Yeah, there it is.
Right there. We take.
We take. It's a lot of action right here. As we saw, we just uncovered an axe head, like we said, probably used by, Braden just uncovered an axe head here right behind me, probably used by the slaves working the grounds and the plantations here. So as I talked about before, we are uncovering history live, and I'm glad y'all get to be a part of the journey here with me as we're filming. So, what were slave quarters? We need to talk about that. Slave quarters were homes, often small, crowded cabins where enslaved people lived on plantations across the American South. These buildings were typically simple wooden structures with rough plank walls, dirt or wooden floors, small fireplaces for cooking and warmth, and very little privacy. The kitchen here, for example, is a good indication of what one of these slave quarters might have looked like. Sometimes several families shared a single cabin, so imagine an entire household living in a space with not much room larger than a modern single room, like your living room, for example. Yet despite those conditions, these spaces became the center of family life, culture, faith, and resilience. So life inside the quarters. Plantations often tried to reduce enslaved people to labor, but inside the quarters, enslaved communities built lives and traditions of their own. After long days working in the fields, kitchens, or workshops, people returned here to cook meals together, care for children, tell stories, share faith and music, and pass down traditions from generation to generation. These quarters were places of hardship, but also of community and survival, where the enslaved people preserved identity in a system that tried to strip it away. So, what does today have to do with anything? Why does archaeology matter? Well, let's talk about it. Plantation records often documented the landowners, crops, and profits, but they rarely recorded the full lives of enslaved people who made the plantation possible. They talked about all the things they produced, all the good things they were doing, but they didn't talk about how the work was done. So that's where archaeology becomes incredibly important. Beneath the soil, we might find buttons from clothing. We found some of those today, or some of the other volunteers out here found some today. Broken pottery or plates, tools. We just found the axe head here. Coins, beads, pipes, cooking implements, or other household objects, or anything else that might have been used here to work this 3,000 acres of farmland. Each artifact is a clue, and each one tells us something about daily life, what people ate, what they wore, what they valued, or how they built their lives under incredibly difficult conditions. Sometimes these objects are the only voices to the past left behind. So let's talk about bringing in the technology, as we've got metal detectors, GPR, and other sorts of, we got drones out in the air. You're going to see some drone footage here in a few moments. We've got all kinds of tools out here today, just flooding this land, trying to see what we can find and learn more about what happened on this site. So what makes this event special is the technology and teamwork that we're implementing here. Teams here are using the GPR, ground penetrating radar, to scan below the surface and identify the outlines of buried structures, foundations of cabins, storage buildings, or work areas that may no longer be visible from the ground above. The metal detectors help us locate small objects buried beneath layers of soil, just like right here behind me, the axe head. But the real key is careful documentation, mapping each find, preserving context, and making sure these discoveries help tell an accurate historical story. This isn't treasure hunting, this is historical recovery, and that's what we're doing here. We're not hunting for treasure, we are working on mapping out history. And this plot over here, we're going to bring it back later. I can see where we dug up. Garrett will come back in just a little bit. I'm probably off camera, but Garrett will come back here in just a little bit to map out where we just dug up that axe head, and we'll use that and some documentation later to talk about the story of what we found here, to try and piece together exactly what life might have looked like. There's somebody over here behind me, behind the camera here, metal detecting in the field behind, looking for stuff. So there's stuff all over the place here that we are going to be looking for as we uncover history here today. And we're super excited. We'll probably do a video covering what we found, talking about the documentation we've written up. That's to be determined, but if so, stay tuned, look forward for it. We'll definitely post some stuff on the Facebook about what's happened here today. So why does this matter? Sites like this remind us that history isn't just written in books. Sometimes it's buried beneath the earth. And when we uncover these places, we're not just finding objects, we're reconnecting with people whose lives shaped this country. The enslaved men and women who lived in these quarters helped build farms, towns, and economies all across the South. Their labor built wealth that others claimed, and their stories deserve to be told. And that's the purpose of Echoes of Freedom, listening to the echoes of the people that helped build this country and give us the freedoms that we have today. So standing here today before the ground is open, we're looking at what historians call virgin soil, land that may still hold the untouched remains of the past. By the end of this project, this site may reveal outlines of buildings, lost artifacts, we've already found some, and new pieces of history that haven't been seen for generations. And every discovery will help bring us closer to understanding the lives of people who once called this place home. So remember, historians, that uncovering history is not just about the past, it's about honoring the people who lived it and making sure their stories are never forgotten. And today, that story begins right here beneath our feet. I'm Smith McNeill. This is Echoes of Freedom coming to you from Cluster Springs, Virginia, as we search this former slave plantation from the 1860s to uncover and listen to the echoes of freedom. Yeah, maybe a fence ring. It's still hitting. That looks a little more modern than Civil War. Hold up, big dog. Do it. Oh, it's got I got some silk. So we're staying inside of the slave house now. Of course, it's been filled for storage by the current owners, but small 2-level building. Upstairs is probably more of your sleeping area. Down here, of course, you got your fireplace for heat and a common sitting room. So this is what an 1860s, 1850s slave house would look like. Still standing today.
This could be Civil War. We ribbed off of the tent.
I say riveter. That's a man right there.
It's a witness tree.
Attaboy.
It's really
Holy
rusted.
cow, bro!
We take.
Let's go!
We take.
Look at the tent.
Wait, where do you think this is from?
That's definitely post-Civil War. So Civil War, they did not have the button plates on. They just had buttons on the back. Okay. So that's just past has so many stories to tell, and we're just getting started. If you're ready to uncover them with us, like, subscribe, and join the mission. You can follow along on all our socials via the link below. Thank you for tuning in this week, and as always, we will see you on the next adventure.